Hey everybody, welcome in for episode 30. We've already done quite a few videos on the science of weight loss, the body types, the different body types that you can find out what body type you are by taking the test on healthyinformation.com, all that stuff. You now know our phone number by now. You now have your fitness instructor, your weight loss coach, your wellness practitioner who's utilizing these videos to help you along. Remember, there is no magic bullet for anyone. There is not one size fits all. Dieting and weight loss is all comes down to you and the science that can help you is what we're trying to help you uncover and try to use towards your goals.
Work with your body instead of against it.
Yeah, and if you're frustrated by weight loss plateaus, this one will be a very interesting video for you. Always remember if you need anybody, if you know anybody who could use these videos, send them to them, share them, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Let's uncover what's really holding you back in your weight loss struggle. Today, we're going to kind of discuss a couple different things. Like, is eating less always better? Or you've heard those people who say, just exercise more and you'll lose weight. Well, supplements fill the gap where traditional methods fail a lot. And today we're going to really get a deep dive into that. Let's talk about excess stress, inflammation, toxicity, and nutrient deficiencies. Where do we start?
Well, those are 4 of the top 10 reasons that we have uncovered for weight loss failure. And all 10 of those are described in detail in my book, The Weight Management Revolution, available through Kindle on Amazon.
Yeah, and it's actually free too if you have the...
Yeah, right now it is.
Yeah.
So, excess stress. I have learned over the years in working with thousands of people that when it comes to stress, it boils down to 2 basic groups of people. The kind of people who say, yeah, I've got some excess stress in my life, and the kind of people who lie and say they don't. I got this, I'm covered, I'm good, I've got full control. The point is that you may feel that you do, but the chemistry that goes on still goes on.
Yeah.
And prolonged stress can lead to elevated hormone levels, stress hormones, one of which is certainly not the only one, but one of which is called cortisol. And that's gotten a lot of publicity. You may actually have heard that term many times before. But what you may not have heard is that excess cortisol causes what we call in the weight loss industry the fat tummy.
Yeah.
Because excess cortisol deposits fat in the fat cells around the midsection. So someone who's got a cortisol problem and a weight problem, you'll find their weight is pretty much pear-shaped. It's around the middle, and not necessarily that much anywhere else.
And your doctor can even test you for cortisol, right?
Oh yes. And that's becoming increasingly popular as our society and our environment continues to unwind.
Yeah.
So, but if you have, in addition to gaining weight around the midsection, if you're constantly tired, fatigue, and there's a difference between being tired and fatigue and sleepy. If you're sleepy, you need sleep. If you're tired, you just maybe need a recharge. But if you're fatigued, and you're fatigued constantly, that's usually caused by a hormone imbalance. And the number one group of hormones that cause that problem are the stress hormones. Other symptoms you might notice would be cravings for starch and sugary foods, what we call the feel-good foods.
Yeah.
Because as your blood sugar rises from eating those foods, your energy temporarily returns. You have a feeling of satisfaction, both physical and mental. And then insulin is produced and takes it all away again.
Yeah.
And then you want to have more of those lovely refined carbohydrate foods. The end result of all this will start to affect your sleep. Your sleep will start to affect your state of mind, and then you get on what we call a treadmill, a stress treadmill. One thing leads to another, leads to another.
Yeah.
And I know that people that are under significant stress that we have worked with, it's almost impossible for them to lose weight.
Yeah.
Unless we address the stress response cycle.
And
Which
you do
we
that,
can do, yeah.
and you do that with supplements.
Primarily, we do that with supplements. We also do it with visualization. We do it with relaxation techniques.
Yeah, or people call it meditation or prayer too.
Yeah. It's all falls under the same category: visualization, and of course, the right supplements to put your brain chemistry back in order, as well as forcibly lowering cortisol.
Cortisol.
Yeah.
And so a good full spectrum multivitamin like the high vitality liquid or capsules and maximum stress support, that blend is so perfectly as far as balanced of totality, potency, and ratio. It can really be a game changer in your weight loss journey.
For sure.
And so what about excess inflammation? How can that halt or slow down weight loss?
Well, the inflammatory response cycle used to be something that occurred occasionally. But because of our environment and our diet and our lifestyle
and our food,
the state of inflammation or inflammatory response is almost constant.
Constant now.
And excess inflammation is at the root cause of almost every chronic degenerative disease.
Yeah.
Arthritis, bursitis, diabetes, heart disease, prostate problems, and the list goes on and on and on.
And then that also leads to disrupting your hormonal balance, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But what happens is that when your body is in the state of excess inflammation, it is producing chemicals that slow your metabolism.
Yeah.
And we're all in a state of acute or chronic inflammation most of the time. There are chemicals in the environment. I was just reading an article on a study the other day that says that the majority of people have up to 1 spoonful of microplastics in their brain tissue already.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And so this thing just goes on and on and on and on. Pesticides, herbicides, heaven knows what. And then you've got the stress of life. We talked about stress a minute ago. One of the other things that excess stress produces is inflammation.
Yeah.
So you see, they just keep making each other worse as we go along. So you're going to see symptoms of that: lack of sleep. You're going to feel lazy. You're not going to feel like exercising. You're going to have body aches. You're going to be stiff and achy, especially after age 35 or 40, because the chronic inflammation is just ongoing. And all inflammation isn't bad. Acute inflammation can save your life.
Yeah.
But chronic ongoing inflammation is a slow pathway to deterioration for sure. And of course, there are things that we can do about that. There are key nutrients and herbal extracts that have been shown to be safely be able to control and modulate excess inflammation, as opposed to the drug ones, which have a host of side effects, all the way from the over-the-counter anti-inflammatories like aspirin and Advil and all of that business, all the way to the prescription anti-inflammatories. They all have a dark side, and sometimes you need that dark side, at least for the short term. But if you can use a natural anti-inflammatory that has virtually no side effects whatsoever.
Yeah, like the natural anti-inflammatory, like that has ingredients like turmeric and ginger together.
Yep.
That's clinically shown to reduce inflammation, and then when you formulated that, you added all the other stuff that it needed to make it work even better.
Yeah, we've approached inflammation response from several different angles.
Yeah. And so, how about excess toxicity and like products like the Best Slim Cleanse from Phoenix Nutritionals? That really helps to start off somebody, especially if they're suspected to be, pretty toxic. It's almost like a jump start, right?
Yes. We live in a toxic world. And to say otherwise is illusionary.
Yeah.
I mean, we do.
And that leads to the brain fog and the low energy.
Yeah.
And the,
I mean, we've got toxins in our food, air, water, environment. We live in a synthetic world with artificialness all around us, and we eventually absorb that and get it into the internal state of the body. Now, you can imagine if you have a pool of water that's not moving, that's relatively sedentary, and over time it gets gunked up with moss and mildew and toxins, and it becomes foul and unusable.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens in the internal state of the body. And as toxic levels, excess toxins through lack of exercise, lack of proper diet, lack of nutrients, environmental exposure. Well, when you live in a toxic environment, it's really hard to achieve optimal wellness.
Yeah.
And so many of us have a very toxic internal environment. Give you an example. Arthritis, common osteoinflammatory arthritis. I have worked with thousands of arthritic individuals over the years. I have never met one who wasn't toxic as the devil.
Yeah.
And when we detoxify the soft tissues and organ systems of their body, already the majority of their inflammation and their pain goes away without doing anything else at all.
So not only do toxins do all those terrible things to your body, but they really hamper and halt weight loss. And that's why whenever you find out what body type you are, and if you learn that you're toxic, that's a good place to start.
Yes, especially if you've taken the test and you're calorie sensitive. We find that the more people who are calorie sensitive tend to be have higher levels of toxins than the other groups.
Yeah.
We don't know why exactly, but it seems to be the case over and over again.
Yeah.
And so if someone comes to us and they test calorie sensitive, we always use the Slim Cleanse right up front
to jumpstart,
to get that system cleared out and getting it function better.
Yeah, and that leads us to the next one, which is really funny, and we've gotten a lot of people asking to address this, is the how can I be fat and nutrient deficient at the same time? And it's kind of funny when you see that comment or we get, messages about that, but it is true. You can be obese and fat and nutrient deficient.
Some of the most nutrient deficient and unhealthy people are overweight.
Yeah. And so how do you explain that to somebody?
Well, a person is overweight because they're storing excess energy in their fat cells.
Yeah.
And that's due to an excess production of insulin, what we call hyperinsulinemia or excess insulin production. Now, let's put it this way. If you have high insulin levels and sufficient to where it's taking all of the glucose out of your system, converting it to triglyceride, and shoving it in the fat cell, wouldn't it seem logical that you would be tired all the time? Because you don't have any energy.
Yeah.
Because insulin is working too well at its job. And the insulin receptor sites are allowing that to happen. Albeit usually in a very dysfunctional way, but yes. So a person can be overweight and not be able to access those calories, those raw materials for energy.
Yeah.
And so you can have people who are, if you're carrying 50 pounds of excess weight, you don't feel like exercising, you don't feel like moving, you don't feel like bending and stretching, you don't feel like doing any of these things because you're carrying, it's like strapping a 50-pound weight around your neck and walking around all day. And so one of the big problems with being overweight is that it then slows your metabolism even further. That reduces the amount of nutrients that are available to the body.
Yeah.
And that in turn reduces the overall state of wellness. So people who are overweight, and that's why I've said in earlier videos, if you come to our centers and you follow our program, we require you to take a full spectrum supplement every day.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go. In addition to whatever else we might add on that's necessary for you. Because I assume, rightfully so, I think, is that the more overweight a person is, the more malnourished that they have become.
Yeah. And
not
so,
the other way.
Yeah, and common deficiencies like B complex or vitamin C and major minerals, trace minerals, chromium, vanadium, which all affect metabolism, that's a good place to start by addressing it with like the blood sugar support, best trace minerals, or the high vitality.
Yep. And believe me, what a difference it makes in our clients. We get them on that and put them on the right eating program. In 30 days, they can't believe how much more energy they have, how much better they're sleeping, and at all levels of their life, they can begin to see improvements.
Yeah, and we are going to take 1 week off and do a different video for next week, but after that, we're going to do our final video, and
We got one more.
We got one more in the series. Next week, we're going to do a little off one. It's been requested by a lot of our viewers. It's going to be like a little bit of a game video. But you wanted to say some things before our last...
Well, I just wanted everybody who's following our videos, we have one more coming, and it's going to be addressing one of the biggest questions in weight management and one of the biggest problems, and that's maintenance.
Yeah.
Now that I've followed the program, I've reached my ideal weight, what the hell do I do now?
Yeah.
Do I keep dieting forever?
Well, no, that's not... Yeah.
Do I go back to eating the way I was and in 6 months be, a beached whale again? What do I do?
Yeah.
Well, our program covers maintenance, and it talks about things like your set point and various other things. And we're going to discuss how you can proceed through the rest of your life without endless dieting.